Awesome. All right, thank you very much today. I am, as known, the lead for Zeligate. Zeligate is Brisbane-based software development company, and we're currently building the AI-powered workforce of the future. And so we talk about building solutions that people will use. One of the things that's really important to us is understanding how to build solutions that are trustworthy. Also, as a previous founder of a number of other software companies and a user of AI and a procurer of AI, I think there's a lot of different kind of aspects that people might not think about all that much as they are interacting with AI today. So what I want to talk about today is, I guess, a little bit of a background around the industry and a little bit of a dive into the specifics of how you as a person operating in this space can contribute to building trust with AI. Just a bit of background. So I'm actually a member of the Queensland AI Hub and one of the advisory board, who are working within Queensland to help with and support the adoption of AI across Queensland, not just in development, but also in the use and so forth. So if you're very interested in AI, I'd suggest considering participating in the Queensland AI Hub. It's free to join for individuals, and we have quite a capable board and a number of volunteers in terms of our advisory committee who all participate regularly in events that, if you've been to the Queensland AI Summit, it was put on by the Queensland AI Hub. So definitely recommend if you're interested in joining the community, not just developers, but also people who are AI advocates and enthusiasts are also participating in that community. And we have a number of different chapters that you might like to get involved in. I thought just before I start, it's really interesting to have a look at some of the trends around AI, and particularly, we saw before in terms of global investment in AI is targeted to hit around 200 billion by 2025. Gartner do a number of surveys each year, and typically they talk to CEOs. And one of the, I guess, the most interesting findings of 2024 is that roughly a quarter of all CEOs have marked AI as one of their top priorities in this current year. But what's actually really interesting about that statistic is if you look at Gartner's report from the previous year, only 4% of CEOs marked AI as a top priority. And I think that just goes to show how quickly AI has become something of importance to business. And I think that importance then is leading to that significant investment that we're seeing. But also what's really fascinating to see is that Australia is actually taking the lead in something. We, across hundreds of countries who were participating in this global survey, put on by, I believe, the CSIRO and the National AI Centre, we lead the world as the most nervous about AI, right? The most likely to not adopt AI. And so there's this real big push at the moment, not just because we want to get greater efficiencies from it, but also because we have a lot of people in our country who are researching artificial intelligence, who are really capable in their fields, and who are looking for a place to go work. And we really don't want them to just have to go to the US in order to be able to do that, right? So really interesting statistics, obviously driven by today, the investment driven by business. And there's a lot of opportunities in business, particularly for this new generative AI technologies. And so and perhaps just for my benefit, I'm keen to understand a little bit about your own background. Maybe you just put your hands up if you're a data scientist or you're studying data science. Roughly about a quarter of the room. Put your hands up if you're in business or sort of business related, you lead a business, and any other kind of technical fields, raise your hands as well. A lot of technical people. Great. So it's really good to see that we have a bit of a mix of people in the audience here, from people who will be focused on, what is the business value, to people who are probably more considering, how can I do something really cool with the technology we've got today, and then also people who are thinking, well, how could I build something that doesn't exist, right? And there's a lot of different categories around AI, and all of them are currently offering great value to business. So you can think about voice analytics, sentiment analysis, image and video. We've seen a lot of generative AI stuff in that space where you can create amazing pictures and videos today with AI. Text with ChatGPT. Vision actually has been around as a capability for eons now, the ability to detect objects in video and things like that, and now AI-powered automation. And we should definitely care, because time is money, and actually time and money is really all business cares about in terms of that productivity. And so as businesses start thinking about AI, they're thinking about, well, how can I get greater efficiency and effectiveness of my resources deployed? How can I create focus for people? They're not distracted by all of these mundane tasks, but can think about the bigger picture. How do we prioritize things? And AI is having a part to play in all of these types of improvements that we're looking for across business. And when you think about it, it's not actually that new. Your competitive advantage as a business has really come about through technology since the beginning of mankind, right? And now there's this new technology that's offering to accelerate that even further. So AI has a lot of potential, from enhancing your creativity. For some people aren't as creative. I'm particularly not a creative person. I can't really do great drawings, but I can definitely get AI to make a really nice design for me. Do task automation. There's a lot of different use cases, from graphic design to coaching and training. And in some cases, when we think about that, we also need to be careful. Like, do I really want to have an AI-powered, social worker talking to my child, or telling them what their career could be, or should that be a human function? We have some decisions to make about how we want to use AI. But if we do it right, that can lead to a greater competitive advantage for a business, right? But if we do it wrong, it could also lead to some pretty bad stuff. So if we look at current use cases, areas where we can pick up to our users as well, and how we use that data actually is really important. I think of the data security in the traditional sense. We have secret data, and then we have public data, and we have something in between. And if you're a business, a lot of your data should, particularly your customer data, should be. Can people online still see the screen?
No, you can just keep talking. It's okay. Yeah.
Okay. And then, so we've got these solutions now. We can just buy them, hand over a credit card, and start using them. Great. So, whose responsibility is it for providing tools to their employees? Well, obviously that's the businesses, right? And they're the ones bringing out the platinum credit cards and saying, hey, let's use this tool. Let's sign up to Copilot, Microsoft Copilot, and give that to everyone in the business. But they have responsibilities too, right? They need to think about what systems do they procure. They need to think about the security of those systems, and do they adhere to their own governance frameworks. They need to do due diligence. They need to check, well, where is the data being stored? I'm putting this in the hands of my employees, so I need to think about those things. I also need to provide really good frameworks for my employees and training and guidance around how they use it, because they might just use it in a way that I didn't intend, and then it might give a response that I didn't want, and it might end up on social media, and everyone was pretty embarrassed. So we've got to think about those things as business leaders. Selecting the right tools for our business isn't just about can it do the job, but also do we have some level of control, and does it fit with what our procurement policies and governance and security guidelines look like. And then finally, as a user, we all have access to these resources. They could be ones that your company provides, It could be ones that you're just paying for on your own, or it could even be free. But also just keep in mind that everything that is free is never free, and your data is actually being stored and used probably by the same company that's giving you that service free. And you know, it's not just social media now, it's AI companies that are doing that. You go and look at the T's and C's and you've signed up to giving them your data. And so, you know, just by way of a kind of show of hands, how many people here are using ChatGPT? Nearly everyone. Okay, how many? Keep your hand up if you pay for it. Great. Okay, so I want to tell you that only the people who pay for it have the option to not have your data used by OpenAI for training. Okay, now of all the people who are using it and who pay for it, how many of you have gone in and turned off the feature that says share my data with OpenAI? A lot less people, right? And so the features there that you're opted out by default, so all of those things come down to ethical decision making around how we design systems too. So as users, we need to be informed about our choices. We need to be informing ourselves, researching how we do our jobs with these new sets of tools, and also considering what our company wants to use them for. You know, I'm sure creating 10,000 pictures of cats isn't what they intended to do when they gave you, when they gave you Copilot, when they gave you Gemini. But maybe they did. You might be in marketing. Could be fine. But think about that. So lots of different data security tiers, from restricted and confidential, internal and public. I guess the point here is to recognize that if you're using customer data, if you have customer data, if you have bank account details, and it's not just bank account, it could just be names and email addresses of your customers. You don't want that to be going public. Then don't share it with a platform where it could potentially go public, right? And so businesses need to make the right choices around the tools that they provide their people. And we have options today, unlike about a year and a half ago. You know, OpenAI wasn't inside Microsoft Azure tenancy, and so, but now you've got that. You've got, you've got your own Google tenancies, you've got stuff in AWS. You have options across all of the clouds to safely work with your customer data. So using the OpenAI APIs for your company data is a bad idea. And if you take one thing away from this talk today, it's if you're doing that, stop it right now. Go to your CTO or whoever holds the purse strings around the cloud accounts and go and get some stuff set up there. The good news is all of those things are pay per use, generally same pricing as what you're paying in the public stuff, but now you've got the added benefit of your data is actually being safely stored somewhere like that. So we're going to think about how we protect the confidential data, and some of that will. For businesses like mine, where we're building solutions, we're thinking about how we encrypt and how we redact information. We're thinking about how we manage access and control that access to data. But we're also having to think about how do we audit that, right? How do we audit the AIs? How do we audit the new kind of workflows we're putting in place so that these things aren't just kind of giving lip service to it, we're actually doing something practical. Now, one of the things with AI, I think that hasn't actually changed anything is that good data governance practices do exist in the world, and they don't exist in every business. But I do want to give you an example, a really practical example of one that kind of hit a customer I know who turned on Copilot 365 one day. Very first request said, "Hey, show me all the documents that have the latest 5 years of financial records. Out they come. Here's the report, authored by someone who didn't work in the company." How does that happen? Well, it turns out that report was based on a template that had been built in another company, and then Microsoft keeps all the authors, and so you've got that nice history there of the fact that someone has used a template from a company, which is probably proprietary to that company. And so, all of these great things that are just going to pop up. We've seen how it's possible that the AI shares a little bit too much, or in that case, shares too much, as opposed to, someone who's not in the finance team getting access to company financial records just by asking the AI about, last year's profitability and then getting salary data, because it wasn't protected. So there's a little bit of preparation required before we turn on all these really amazing tools. And that preparation is really just getting your house in order, getting your data secure, going and doing an audit of those things before you just jump in, into the deep end. I think one of the things I want to say about when you're building tools for your business or for yourself, or for a customer, is that we have AI tools inside secure environments now. This is actually, I think, lifted originally from a Microsoft framework, whereby if you look into the Microsoft stack, they have foundational AI technologies as listed, right? And so we could use those technologies and we can use them safely because they're going to be inside our tenancy. But the tendency has been because the Groks and the OpenAIs and all of the large language models that have become more and more prevalent over the last year have all been outside of those ecosystems. So the tendency has been to, let's go and build all that stuff, connecting into those things. And we're just going to know that there's a boundary around where our data lives right now. And we're essentially just opening the door and sending the data out. And that actually breaks trust. So as you're going about architecting solutions, I suggest you think about those things. And also as you're looking into and testing your AIs, just know that they hallucinate even today, and they still will, even when they're grounded in your data, they're still going to be hallucinating, right? And so part of the challenge of building an AI-powered solution, workflow, anything, is that you need to account for the potential for hallucination. If you're using out-of-the-box tools like Copilot Studio, and you're connecting it to your SharePoint data, well, you might know this because there's no documentation on it, but it doesn't use the Graph API. It uses keyword search. So the reason you're getting really crappy results is because you're not getting semantic search. But you start using semantic search, and now the accuracy of the data starts improving. But so too does the cost, by the way. So just take it easy. So other things that we need to look at, in terms of our veracity of checking different scenarios. If you, just like the software where you have test plans in place, and you have hopefully you've automated some of those things when you're building and deploying AI-based systems, you want to have the ability to understand if I make changes to my prompts, if I make changes to how these workflows work, what impact did that have on not just improving that single use case that I needed to improve, but all the other use cases that I had for that agent in the first place. So we might see, let's change a prompt and we get a better outcome over here, but then 10 of the things over here are no longer performing as intended. So I think that the prompt engineers will continue to be out there in the world for some time yet, and figuring out how to get the most out of these AIs, but they are also getting better at helping us help them as well. So I guess to wrap up, we are building our future here. Whether we are the ones buying and making decisions around what platforms we use, or we're just a user of a service, we have choices to make. I saw a post on social media recently about someone who was quite unhappy with their customer support that they received from I think a hardware company that bought some, like a Bunnings, they want to buy something. And, the feedback was, well, give them feedback and just don't go there again, right? And so it was really great feedback that if the business that you're interacting with, if the product that you're purchasing, if the AI that you're using doesn't meet your ethical standards or the standards of your business, doesn't protect your customers' data, protect your data the way that you want, stop using it. There's hundreds of other options out there, and we see that now with Twitter and X, where people are starting to migrate away from the platform in favor of new social media because of exactly those reasons. So, building trust in AI, what does good look like? In voice, accurate, clear, respectful. In analytics, transparent. We've got ethical sourcing of images for training things. We've got unbiased text generation. We've got reliable, ethical, non-invasive things where we're using vision technologies, not for identifying minorities in places around the world sometimes. And we're being fair, I guess, is how we're doing it. What bad looks like, I don't know if you've seen this. This is a great example of where we're taking images of people and we're creating videos that are not represented, that are things that they've never said. There's lots of different ways that we can destroy trust. Ultimately, it's our choice. We choose with our wallets. We choose with our minds. And so I think the most important thing is that we make a feature. This one's lifted from a Google presentation. We make a feature. We decide on how we train our people, how we protect our data, what technologies we use, and we decide what processes we deploy. Let's do that in a very deliberate way, and then be considered in how we approach it. And I think we'll make a positive future as a result, because really, it's not predetermined that we are going to a dystopian future. Quite the opposite, actually. We have a very bright future ahead of us. It's just us in this room who get to make a decision about where we're headed. So that's all from me. Thank you. And if you have any questions.
Thank you so much, Alex. I really enjoyed that. And I was wondering how you've applied some of these principles to your own company. Do you have any war stories for us or anything interesting that happened as you're applying them in your own line of business?
I think, I guess, and I've been with Zeligate for a couple of months now. Week one was actually a really interesting week for me. Within, I think, day 4, someone from our customer service team flagged a red flag and said, we have a problem. Someone's on the platform right now. I'm like, that's a good thing, right? If someone's on the platform right now, we've got a customer. And they're using it really hard. And I said, that sounds great too. But they're not using it the right way. And so we could see how this person was interacting with our agent and was attempting to write a novel. And it was a novel of a kind that we would not like our agent to write. Let's put it that way. And so we actually had this moment where we thought, do we let that continue so that we can gather enough information that we can prevent this from happening again? Or do we terminate it right now? And that's really a hard decision to make. We terminated his account immediately. And about 2 hours later, what we thought was the same person came on with a different account. And then we had this technical problem of how do we block this person forever, right? With a different
keyword search on Twilight and
yeah. So it became not just about blocking that person, but then, well, how do we prevent this behaviour from ever occurring again? What measures do we need to put in place? And so there's lots of examples like that, I think, where brands can be put in a compromising position because of the AI that they've deployed. They don't have complete control over that. And I think that they just need to be conscious that those